Welcome everyone. We are here with another episode of Consciousness Rising Zimbabwe and Beyond. And today is me having a conversation, a conscious conversation with Tania Norris. Antonella Bargione here. And welcome, Tania.
Thank you. Hi, Antonella.
So finally, we're having a conscious conversation, the two of us, after having interviewed. It's already a month now.
It's a bit overdue. I know. It's overdue.
Okay, so with Tania, we were talking yesterday, and we really felt the urge to talk about the situation at the moment with all these pandemic, pseudo-pandemic, some place pandemic, in some other place endemic of the COVID-19, and what's really happening with the awakening of the world. Because in this last year, it's been like a roller coaster for most of us. And now we are at a phase which is not finished at all, because we are in a phase of distraction where we are really birthing a new world. So it's going to take quite a bit to distract all the patriarchal system, which has been there probably for the past 2,000 years, if not more. Some people say from the Roman Empire, some people say, everybody says many things, say different things. And so we would really like to go through what's happening, because at the moment we are in a moment in history where the polarization and the separation, it's just beyond. This separation can happen also within families, from voting different political parties to having completely different ideas of vaccines and cures. There is a virus, there is no virus, conspiracy theories, or following what is being told to us and trusting it completely. So at the moment we are in this world that is totally separated, and we don't see what can happen. So, Tania, what's your view on that?
No, I think you're right there, Antonella. Everyone is we're living in this time of heightened emotions. You know, people are leaning, as you say, and I think those heightened emotions are causing a lot of rifts and a lot of division. But also, I think it's too important to bear in mind that we are living in this duality, you know, the contrast of good and evil, night and day. So whenever we have a change, and I don't believe that this change is going to be an event, it's a process. And part of that process is definitely stepping into this extreme division. So it'll be extreme division before it settles down and balances out into something normal. So I think it's to be expected. It's normal. It's natural. People have a lot of information is coming their way that they haven't heard about. But there are certain things I think, Antonella, we can do for ourselves. And I've noticed it's been annoying me a little bit. You know, all of these conspiracy videos that are going around, like is it called Fall of the Cabal by Janet Osterbard, and then there's another one called Out of the Shadows. And those are also very good because they've brought that information to people in this like download or the package, and now people don't really know what to do with that information. Yeah. But one thing I can say to people, you know, I've been looking into these topics for about 8 years now. So none of this information that they're bringing forward is, it's new, it's not new, it's old information. And whereas I have had years to process it and think about it. So I've sort of gone from that outrage, sort of, you know, got my senses about me, and now I can look at all of this stuff from the platform of being neutral. Right. Okay. And this is where, and I really hope that people can try and get there as quickly as possible, because they also have to realize that while this information is going around, there's a lot of misinformation in those videos as well. And they're not going to know that. I can know that because I've had all those years to look at it. But, you know, just certain things, and I'll give you a little example of what is misinformation or distortions, if I can say that rather. Yeah. One of the things that these conspiracy people have been talking about for years is, obviously, we know that the Vatican is, you know, full of evil people who drink children's blood and all of that stuff. And one of the things they love to tell you is that, and the Vatican even has a telescope called Lucifer. Okay, that is not the truth at all. And that's a huge distortion. Where the Vatican Observatory is in Mount Graham in Arizona, there's a lot of observatories there. And the University of Arizona has got a telescope that has a part that the acronym is Lucifer. It's a light undulating fractal, something like that, so that no one can say that, so they call it Lucifer. And yes, the Vatican sometimes uses that telescope. They all share their equipment. So can you see the distortion straight away?
Well, the distortion is not so much in the information, but it is in the editing.
It's in the editing, exactly. But that is taken and it sounds so good when you're trying to build a story or build a picture, you know, you just throw that in because it sounds good. So, and I want people to be aware of that. You know, you can make a conspiracy out of anything. And all you need to do is take all the bad things that anybody's ever done, completely out of context, completely out of a timeline, and put it all together. And bam, you've got a really good conspiracy on your hands.
So it becomes a sensationalism again. So like exactly. The mass media doing, all the Western mass media doing the sensationalism to make us scared, then
here you are.
On the conspiracy side, so-called, by the way, the word conspiracy theory comes from the CIA. That's where it came
from. That's right. Yeah.
So that's already make you think a bit more. So exactly. Then with this sensationalism, we end up being, falling in the same trap. It's all based on fear. It's all
based on fear. And also is to remember that everyone has an agenda, you know, and let's call ourselves part of the truth movement. Mm-hmm. And as part of the truth movement, we have that agenda to wake people up. But, you know, if you're going to put in there and you're going to become a zealot, and this is the other problem that we have. We've got people like David Icke. I've been following him for years. You've got Alex Jones, David Wilcock, all of these people. If you listen to them, there's an imbalance in their rationale. You know, they're completely closed-minded because the agenda is to prove that they are right. So the information is good, but they tend to ruin it with people who really want to, you know, because there is a lot of truth in all these things. There are a lot of facts, but they tend to ruin it because they just become these zealots. You know, and then people's brains tend to shut down when they look at people ranting on. So it's to be a little bit more level-headed. Let's think about the information that we're sharing, because if we're going to send all this misinformation out there, then we may as well just go get a job with CNN, you know? Because this is exactly what they're doing, and none of us want to be affiliated to that lot. So, you know, it's just use a level of observe this. Don't get so emotionally invested in it, because, you know, while we have the fear porn on the one side, we also, the excitement can also make us sick. The excitement can make us, well, let's say the outrage, you know, that people are stepping into will also lower your immune system and also make you ill. And it makes you very imbalanced in your head. Mm-hmm. So that's just one thing that I just wanted to point out to people is, yeah, listen to those things, but really cut them in half, then cut them in half again, and somewhere there you will find the truth. There are people that I've been following for years and years and years who do a lot of really good research,
Mhm.
And they do research. They get in an airplane. They go to archives. They look for the right documents. You know, those are your real researchers. The rest of us, we're just repeaters of information.
Absolutely.
And so let's just be very careful what we're repeating here. And I actually, at the end of this, I'm going to put some links at the bottom where people can look at those, the proper researchers who have the documents, who have the photographs, who don't take timelines out of context, you know, to build their sensational story.
Yes. And I
So
would
I'll
like
do that.
to add on what you're just saying. I mean, the era of the guru is finished, or it's on its way to be out. So when, and this one I'm talking for guru, for people who are channeling at the moment, there's lots of new openings and the time for disclosure at any level and to channel all this information. Some people call them downloads. It's good because it's opening us to a completely, to a world of with different dimensions which have been already there, but we were not able to see them. But yet also pay attention to the person. Is the person ego driven, like you were saying with some of the zealots? Is it ego driven or ego oriented? So for example, if you go to a medium, if you get a medium doing a reading for you, even with that, please don't give your power away to the medium, to the healer. You are co-creating the healing together. You are co-creating the information. These are people, including myself.
Yeah.
When you come, we can give you information because we can see it, we can guide you to heal, but ultimately, the healing, you are doing the healing. Your body is doing the healing. And right. So when you talk about finding the middle ground, it's by following the heart. Because, okay, our mind is completely full of information coming from outside. Then our guts, we feel all the information that is coming all around us, that hunch, we've got those hunch and those emotions. But it's only through the heart that we can know for real.
Yeah, that we can actually make sense of that.
Yes, and that's
we can actually make sense through the heart.
So
no, I agree. And I give exactly that. I give you another example, is this whole flat earth conspiracy, okay? And I've again looked into that quite a lot and quite depth. And I'll tell you what, mentally, in my mind, they've got the science. The science is on their side. They have a very good story. They have a lot of whistleblowers. You know, they've got all these people. So in your head, you can very easily believe that that is the truth. But at the end of the day, my heart tells me I don't believe that the earth is flat. My heart is telling me that. You know, and people will say, oh, well, that's just cognitive dissonance, and it's because you're just not at that level to see it. Well, you know, quite frankly, I also don't really care if it's flat. You know, I've still got to get up tomorrow and brush my teeth and go and do the bloody shopping. So what am I going to do? You know, if the earth is flat. So no, but my heart tells me, no, there's something wrong with that information. Also, another thing to be aware of, Antonella, is that we have a lot of psychological operations, what they call psyops out there, where they actually, the CIA and the FBI and these, say, black projects actually start the information, you know, to keep you distracted, to get you totally enthralled in something, but it's actually not particularly real. So this is also something, you know, to be aware that there's a lot of skullduggery when it comes to these flat earthers. The QAnon movement, again, I've been following that since 2017. Lots of good information. But let's just have a look and see where that goes, because half of me is thinking this is just one big psyop. It's a big distraction. You know, it's feeding Trump supporters, so to speak. So, but I'm still looking at it, and I hope that it's the truth. I would love it all to be the truth. But
sorry, Tanya.
yeah.
You have to say something for about the QAnon, because not many people know about it yet. Just
QAnon.
what is it?
Okay. So when Trump, I think it was just before he got elected, on an 8chan level, which is 8chan channel, which is like a website where people post information and it can't be tracked and traced. And 4chan channels. So, you know, people download information. All this information and codes and riddles started coming in to those. And then a whole lot of people jumped on that, and they drew the correlation between Trump presidency, the White House, so they call it the White Hats, which they think is part of the military arm of the American military that are supporting Trump. Anyway, this has just gone exponential. And so there's lots of riddles. And I have to say, a lot of the things that they predicted, you know, they predicted the death of of Herbert Walker Bush and John McCain, and to the actual time, you know, the actual minute of their deaths. So there's things like that makes you think, well, yeah, you know, so again, I think there's a lot of correct information in those. You know, people can go and look up a QAnon. Lots of people are doing the decodings of these messages. And then they also think that Trump is giving off clues. Like if he'll stand on stage and he will say something and he'll repeat it and he'll repeat it, it will have a correlation with one of the Q posts. Okay. So, I mean, now this has gone the whole world, and the mainstream media are referring to this as a cult, this Q occult, the QAnon occult. So, you know, no, I wouldn't say that it's a cult as such, but it's something to watch because it's something interesting. And where I like it is that it all ties into the awakening, you know, the forces of good taking over, kicking out the evil ones, you know, so it all ties into those things, which is why I like it. And I really hope that it's the truth. But something here is saying, be careful, because this could be a massive psyop, you know, a deliberation, so to speak. So, yeah. But I think people know that. It's just, you know, I've come across so many people that are, did you know? And the Clintons, you know, and everybody's eating babies. And I'm just thinking, no, hang on a second here. This is not the place to start. This is not the place where you'd go and tell anybody that. You know, there's such a huge backdrop to those things that most people don't know about. So, yeah, so it's just to air a word of caution here to people when it comes to all these conspiracy things that are going around, and try and be level-headed, try and be centered. If it doesn't feel good in your heart, if you look at that and say, well, I can't believe that. Well, then maybe it's just not truth, or it's not presented to you as being believable, and maybe in 3 years' time you might, you know? And at the end of the day, none of us are ever going to know a lot of these truths. We're not going to know. According to QAnon, we will. Again, I have my suspicions there, but you know, it's like this COVID. Where did it start? We're never going to know that.
No, but
you can bash out all the theories that you want. You're going to make yourself sick. You're going to give yourself a headache. Forget about it. Just worry about what you have to address today.
I know that for me personally, the things of COVID, the thing of 5G, the thing of vaccines, all these things that are happening all at the same time, it's, again, like you say, we'll never know the truth. But at some point I ask myself, okay, if this 5G, which is connecting all the human race to the artificial intelligence through facial recognition, by the fact that if this thing of like maybe it's the mark of the beast that is in the Bible, of the visual tattoo.
I do believe that. I believe
Gates wants to put, and the other people wants us to have, to the point that we will be screened. It's like will be screened for anything, and we just got to do also with our personal freedom. And I ask myself many questions, and for them I don't have an answer. But if I hear that, for example, with 5G, the energy of 60 megahertz is projected on Earth, and that's the energy of the microwave that we've got in our homes, then I ask my questions, because why did they do the proper study to see what would happen to human beings, to us human beings, the human race? And then I hear also doctors now that they're coming out more and more saying that that frequency breaks the oxygen in the air, and therefore the oxygen that we breathe is not going to be of the same quality. It's like we're breathing less oxygen. And if you add on in living in contaminated towns like Wuhan or Milan, where all those particles from the pollution can't go away, and so people have already, I mean, their lungs are not functioning in full, then you start to put also, so what is it true for you? My heart there says certain things that I can believe or not, but I'm absolutely open to change my point of view. But at the same time, I ask myself, okay, you are putting 5G everywhere, but you haven't done your homework. Or all the vaccines that now they are giving people so much, so many of them. And then you find out that since 1978, I think, or 72 or 78, the procedure to find out of all the components in the vaccines, what can do to you, and so on and so forth. Then you ask, okay, what are the interests here? So it's like a treasure trove of information that you have to make your own, you have to metabolize them, possibly, like you were saying before, try not to get too emotional about, apart the first moment where you find yourself in outrage, but then give yourself the time to metabolize and ask yourself, okay, why is it that? It's maybe because we, a human race, have been sleeping for too long.
Exactly.
And we have to awaken.
I agree, and it is happening. It is happening, and that is a much better a thing to put your attention on, is looking at how we are giving away our civil liberties for a small amount of safety. You know, that is the thing that you put your attention on. But trying to investigate, you know, foolish things that you're never going to know the answer to, is, don't worry about that. I think it's just important to know that something isn't right. Everyone agrees. We all know that something's not right here. Yeah. And yes, and then investigate that. You know, the whole 5G thing, it's been going on for about 4 years, eh? And a lot of municipalities have been taken to court in America. They have won their cases against 5G. So there is luckily some kind of foundation for people to work on there when it comes to the whole 5G investigation. Yeah.
I know in Italy, for example, there have been lots of mayors in Italy who have said no until we don't know the scientific studies.
Correct. Even Brussels wouldn't have it. Can you believe that? Brussels wouldn't have it because there had been no studies done on it. So yeah, I think very definitely something is up with the 5G, and not even the masts. I mean, if you look at Elon Musk is going to put what, hundreds of thousands of satellites
maybe
into space.
I don't know. It's just too many.
Yeah. So yes, this is what we should be focusing on. I think it's
and also because I still believe in human race and in humanity. Otherwise, I wouldn't do this work. I truly believe that even if we're going to have this vaccination is going to be compulsory, or the 5G is going to be, it's going to happen anyway. There will be people finding solution to counteract that effect. So in that one, I trust that we're going to rebalance it.
Absolutely.
That we're going to rebalance.
I agree.
That
I agree.
There
will always be a solution because they always are solutions.
Yeah.
And what did I want to say about that? I think it's highly unlikely that in America they will make that mandatory, because let me tell you, those Americans and their Second Amendments and their Fifth Amendments, they are sticklers for that. And already, let me tell you, there's a lot of protests going on in the world. Of course, we don't hear about that on mainstream media, but there are a lot of protests going on about vaccines anyway. So yeah, I'm not sitting in fear. And you know what, if I have to have a vaccine and because I can't travel or get on an airplane, I'll have the damn vaccine. And then I'll just detox myself for like 2 weeks to make sure that, you know, it's all gone. So there will always be a solution to that, I think.
So we haven't spoken about economy destroyed, which is probably one of the biggest results of this lockdown in which we have been into. And that probably is going to be the most difficult part for, again, the human race, most of it. I don't know, 90, 95, 98% to recover. And maybe again, for the 98% of us who are dealing in different ways with this economic lockdown, it's again another time to investigate in our self-worth and into different ways to be in the world. In the sense that, okay, what are the different, do we have any different way to exchange than the capitalism in which society has been into for too long? So I know, for example, of many communities where starting to talk about sacred economy, just a different, like, for example, I'm doing some training in family constellation, and the constellators who are giving the training, we are starting to explore into different ways of dealing with money and recognition of the work. And these are small, these are just small beginnings, but who knows if that can bring a total different way of relating to money that they all say that they're going to crash. Is it true? Is not true? I don't know. But the economy
again, yeah. You know, they've been talking about this global crash now. I think I've been listening to it for about 6 years. And every year we're going to have this crash or reset. And it hasn't happened. I think now we're in a situation where it's forced upon you.
Yes.
Okay. I certainly think that those things are going to happen, Antonella. I think they're already happening. People are realizing that they have to rely on community, you know, and not government so much, and government's laws. While we're talking about that, you know, there's also another, well, it's probably more on the conspiracy side as well. There's a lot going around about Jassara and Nasara. Have you heard of that?
Not really, just the word, but not much.
So yeah, the word. So Nasara is, it is a law. It was the National Economic Security and Recovery Act. Okay, and sometime in the 1990s, 1991, there was a legal document drawn up, something to do with banks with charging interest rates. They were going to cut taxes, you know, all of these sort of very altruistic ideas. Anyway, that law was never put before Congress, and it was never passed. That. Now, on the conspiracy side of that is, yes, it was passed, and it was all done in secret. So this again plays into the idea that Trump is going to now activate this law because it's been squashed for so long, and he's going to activate it, and so on and so on. If that ever happens, okay, great, that's good, because that certainly will benefit the likes of you and me.
Yeah.
And if that comes from a government level, terrific. However, I don't hold my breath for the governments, for any government. And this is what I love about what has happened, is that people are sort of looking at governments. There's a lot of mistrust. You know, they can't get their story straight. Everybody's trying to put everybody else in jail. They've got impeachments and Russia gates and Obama gates, and you know, what the hell is going on here? So, and I think that's great, because the people can look at that and say, you know, honestly, what a joke. Let's go back to our communities, very much like we do here in Zim, isn't it? We rely on our community for our old age homes, for our orphanages, to support them, to fix our roads. You know, so it's all that about community. So we're sort of living that experience, I think, anyway. And the rest of the world maybe will catch up with that. So I think the economic reset happening for sure, and it's a good thing. And yes, there'll be casualties, and it'll be tough for a lot of people.
And again, when we blame our governments, it's always once again we are we're giving our power away, because in that way, if we're blaming the government, we don't take responsibility ourselves. So that's also lots of work that, I mean, could be an invitation to many of us to really see, okay, the government is doing that, is going askew, or I believe, or you believe is going askew. But okay, what can I do with what I do? What can I do to make a change as well? So that's also another invitation. So I would say that from this conversation, our invitations today are, whenever you feel yourself polarized, or having a strong conversation with somebody else where you really get emotionally involved, like I have a bit today, some issues. So just stop, go within, and just check, okay, where really this one touches me. Is it on my personal freedom? Is it that I feel injustice? Is it that I feel cheated? What is it? Just go within, because there you will find all your answers. And then work on those answers. Oh, okay, this is what's happening. It's just challenging my right of freedom. Okay, what can I do with that? What's the new?
It's the best advice. It's the best advice, I think. Otherwise, we end up being completely off balance. We end up being zealots ourselves. We end up being haters of the other club, whether it's a political party or whoever the other club is.
We end up doing the same thing. And I would like to conclude with these two quotes, which I found yesterday by cleaning stuff. One is by Desmond Tutu, Bishop Desmond Tutu. We must not allow ourselves to become like the system we oppose. So that's one. And the other one is with Carl Jung. It's, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. And this is so deep. So find your own center, find your own truth, and ask yourself, is it true for me? And if it is
true, that's it.
It's your
truth. How do I know that it's the truth? There you are.
Yes, and then we can have, Tanya, you can have your own truth, I can have my own truth, you, listener, can have your own truth. They're all valid, because it's like you have got this glass, and then you've got all the different spotlights. So we are seeing a different part of the glass. but the glasses got much
Correct.
more. And sometimes we are gonna know what's the full truth, and sometimes not. So I would say cheer to you, whoever comes to find the conversation. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. And good luck, and keep it real. Keep it real.
And keep it real. Yes. Thank you so much. Until the next.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you, Antonella.
Yeah, thank you.